Morning, Year 5. Right, today's lesson is still thinking about adding and subtracting decimals. Slightly larger numbers, but nothing too difficult to work with. And we're thinking about prices, money, which is obviously what we often think about when it comes to decimal numbers, when we've got tenths and hundreds. So your in focus today, it gives you some boxes, a green, a red, a blue, and a yellow box with some price tags on them. And it says, pick any two of the above and talk about their prices. So things to think about might be what kind of things might be included in the box. So do you have a bit of a rough idea of something that might cost £4.05 or £1.25? So have a think about that. Is there anything else that you could say perhaps about adding and subtracting the numbers? So have a go at brainstorming lots of things that we might be able to say about these prices. So pause the video now and have a go at doing that for me. Right, okay, so I've popped down some things that you might like to have a think about. So my first question is, how do the prices vary? Well, they're not all the same. So when we're talking about things varying, we're talking about how they are different. We have got here, if I look at this, I can see that for each of my amounts, they've got a different amount of ones. This is £1 in this one, 2 whole pounds in this one, 3 whole pounds in this one, and 4 whole pounds in this one. In this number here, I can see that I don't have any tenths. And when we're thinking about money, that's thinking about 10 pences. So it doesn't have any 10p's, but it does have pennies. It's got 5p's. So this 1 whole is 1 whole pound, and then this is 5/100ths of a pound. Okay, so if I would split my pound into 100 pence, I've got 5 of them, 5 pence. All right, so let's really, if you haven't done so already, have a really good think about what these numbers actually mean, especially in terms of money, and then have a think about how these prices are different, what's different about them. All right, let's have a look at our next thing then. So which item is the most expensive? I'm pretty sure that you are pretty good with this. So I think you'll all be saying to me £4.05. £4.05 is the most expensive item. We know this because we've obviously got 4 in the column which is furthest to the left. So the highest digit in the column which is furthest to the left. And that's how we know a number is largest. So whenever we're looking for the number that is the largest number, always look as far left in the number as we can and find the largest digit. So we can see, obviously, this is 4. Just move to that. This is 4, this is 3, this is 2, and this is only 1. So obviously, this is the most expensive item. Conversely, let's think about the least expensive item. We're still looking at the column on the left. That's really important. We don't now suddenly go, oh, it's the least expensive, so I'm going to look at the right of the number. You're going to look at the left of the number and find the smallest digit this time. So we know that this is the most expensive because 4 is the largest digit in the ones column, and we don't have any £10 or any tens. And then, so this must be the smallest digit. This is the smallest digit, and therefore it's the least expensive item. And then these two in the middle. So we know that this is the least expensive, the yellow box is the next, the red is the next most expensive, and then the green box is the most expensive of all of them. All right, how do we know? We've just talked about that. So let's come on to thinking about what kind of things could be in the boxes. So what might you come across? And you might be thinking about the shape and the size, but I don't think you need to worry too much about that. Generally thinking about what could cost £1.25, what could cost £4.05. So let's see, what sorts of things might you have? Could you get a computer game? Could you get a computer game for the Switch? You couldn't, could you? No. So that would be much more expensive than that. Could you buy a packet of sweets? It depends which sweets you're going for, but generally you should be able to buy a packet of sweets with £1.25. And you can buy a more expensive pack, probably a more luxurious pack or a bigger pack for £4.05. What else could we get? We could get cans of drink are really expensive now, aren't they? But yeah, we could still get a can of drink for £1.25, I think. So it's really good to kind of look at it and just be aware of how much things cost, what you can buy with your money. You know, that's, you're starting to get older now, and that's the sort of thing that you need to be thinking about, is I've got this much money, what could that actually buy me? And you might start to think about actually putting some money together, saving money so that you can buy those bigger items. Could there be a new flat screen TV in one of the boxes? I seem to have a TV behind me. Could this be in one of my boxes? Well, apart from the size, which obviously it couldn't. No. I mean, you couldn't buy any kind of TV, I don't think, for what, £4, 5p. Certainly couldn't buy a new flat screen TV. You're talking about hundreds of pounds, aren't you, at least, for that? So no, we couldn't. So we've got a good idea of how much things cost and what actually we might be able to buy with these prices. Okay, let's have a look at our next page then. So, sorry, didn't mean to have that one on there. I'd like to purchase the red and the blue box. So how much would it cost me? Now, we've done a lot of talking about adding and subtracting decimals, so I'm not going to linger too much today. Obviously, if you do need any extra help, then you can ask us on Tapestry and we're more than happy to give you some more advice. And obviously, don't forget you can stay on our Zoom calls in the mornings if you want to. So if you have looked at it beforehand, some of you I know are looking at the videos and things quickly before our Zoom call. So if you have looked at it, or you look at your Maths No Problem, you think, oh, I'm not sure about this today, feel free to stay on the call in the morning and we can talk it through. Or like I say, message us on Tapestry and we'll come back and help you. But let's have a look at this question here then. I'd like to purchase the red and blue box. Now, yesterday, I showed you I went back and tried to show you the understanding of the column method. So I think it's really important that you understand where you are regrouping from or where you're exchanging from if we're subtracting. So we're going to have another look at that today just to make sure we really understand it. But essentially what we're doing today is we are using the column method for addition and subtraction. And when I say the column method, what I'm talking about is this method here, where we put one amount and then we line up the other amount, lining up our decimal points because it's decimal numbers, and we're either adding or subtracting. So that's what we mean by the column method. So let's just have a look at actually what does that look like. So if I were to talk about adding the red box and the blue box, well, the red box is £3.70 and the blue box is £1.25. And this is what that would look like with place value counters. 3 ones, 3 whole pounds, and then 7/10 of a pound. So this here shows that I haven't quite got a whole pound. I've only got 7/10 of my pound. And then I don't have any pennies at all. Okay, so there are no pennies. So I've got 3 whole pounds, 7/10, 7/10p's, and no pennies. Sorry, kids. My son's asking me something. Quickly.
iPad.
Please. I don't know. I'm afraid we have to look for it. Sorry, guys. Okay. So this one here, this is 1 whole pound. This is 20p, and this is 5 pence. All right. So this time we have got pennies, and we know that this is the tenths column and this is the hundredths column. So we've got some in our hundreds column, some in our tenths column, and some in our ones column. Now, if we had, say, £11.25, what do you think would actually go in the next column here? Hopefully you worked out that we should have a 1 in this column. Well, it would be a 10, wouldn't it? But it would be 1 more in the tens column, and we would actually put a 10 counter in there. So we'd have £11.25. Okay, so what does that look like when we put it together? So we are going to add our ones together. So we had 3 in this number and 1 in this number. So we've made 4. Now, I've made the fatal mistake here. I wonder if you can spot what my fatal mistake is. I've gone, oh, right, I've got 3, add 1. I'm going to put 4 in here. Quickly have a think. What have I done wrong? Can I do this? No. I really hope none of you have, and I really hope you're not shouting at the screen because we don't do that, but I'm hoping you're saying, no, Mrs. Hall, we do not do that. We always start at the other end. So we always start on the right hand side. Okay, so let's start by looking at this column here. Okay, we have nothing in here. So here's our 0. Look, that means nothing. And we have 5 in here. 0 add 5 is 5. So we know we've got to put a 5 in that column there. And if we look at it down here, those combined because there's nothing added, it stays as 5 1p's or 5 hundredths. Okay, in this number here, I've got 7 tenths, and in the second number, I've got 2 tenths. So 7 tenths, add 2 tenths, it gives us 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And we can all do that because it's 7 add 2, it gives us our 9. Oh, look, we've got some squared numbers coming on here. It's very strange. And then our last column, this is what we started off with, £3 plus £1 equals £4. 3 plus 1 equals 4. Notice I remembered to put my decimal point in. I'm just going to make it a bit darker so that you can really see it. So I've got my decimal point in there, and I must remember to put my units. So I know that I have got £4.95 altogether. Now, most of you will be able to do this sort of thing in your head. You don't need to do a column method for it. And if you can do it in your head, you should be doing it in your head. Okay, you might do jottings, so you might be able to work out with just a couple of little jottings, or some of you might still need to do a written method. Okay, and certainly when you get onto bigger numbers, that's when you do. So your extension today, certainly Maths Teasers group, I think you're going to need to do some written method. Possibly you might be able to, some of you might do it in your head. Okay, let's have a look at this then. So this time we're thinking about the column method, but we're subtracting. Same thing, we line it all up, we have our decimal points. So Hannah picks a blue box and a yellow box, £1.25 and £2.95. And this time we want to know the difference between the two prices. So we have got 2 whole pounds, take away 1 whole pound. We've got, now you can see that we've got 90 in here, 90 pence, which is 0.9, 9 tenths. Now, you can see that 2 of these have been rubbed out because I had 2 tenths in here. So I've taken those 2 away, just like here. And then the 5, it had 5 tenths initially, and we took away 5 tenths. So let's start from this end, as we should do. So 5, sorry, I said tenths, I meant hundreds. 5 hundredths, take away 5 hundredths, leaves us with nothing left. And you can see that they've all been blanked out, okay? Because we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm actually going to cross them out to show that, because that blanking out might not be quite so clear. So we have no hundreds left. Right, 9 take away 2. So we had 9 here, and we took away those 2. That leaves us with 7. So 7 goes in here. Decimal point in before we go any further, and then this one here we had 2 and we took that 1 away, so take that 1 away, we're left with 1. All right, £1.70. And then if we're going to really be careful, we're going to use the inverse to check. Let's hope that this starts working. Doesn't want to work. There it is. Okay, so the inverse to check, I would do £1.25 plus £1.70. And then I can add those 2 up. 5 add 0 is 5, 2 add 7 is 9, 1 add 1 is 2, £2.95. So I've got it right because that's my number I started with. Okay, so you should be checking. Right, hopefully you've understood that. I know that we've done some work in class on this sort of thing without decimals, but it's the same thing with decimals. So hopefully you'll be okay with that today. So guided practice today, a bit more practice with that to make sure that you're feeling confident. Don't forget, if it doesn't have, oh, actually, this one here, it says what is wrong. Look at it really carefully. I'm sure you'll spot it straight away. But if it doesn't have, say this said £1.35 plus 0.14, we could put the 0 in there just to make sure that you know what you're doing. And then this is the same again. So I think some of you are going to whiz through this. We're going to use the column method to calculate those. So you haven't really got much space in your books, your Maths No Problem workbooks, so feel free to do your working out in your squared books. Right, your extension task today. So you've got Thinking Tom to start off with. 3/4 equals 0.34. Some of you are, and this goes for your in focus task as well, which is different today, so you can't do this today necessarily, but usually in your in focus task, what we really need is an explanation with a calculation. And that's what we're looking for today in your Thinking Tom. So remember to use numbers in your explanation. Might not be a full calculation, but certainly you should have some numbers in your explanation. Okay, So if you think they are the same, you have to prove it. There's going to be some converting that needs to happen there. Okay. And then this is your second activity. Have a go at that one as well. Maths teasers group. You have got the complete all 3 statements below using each of the decimal numbers just once. So you need to fill in these gaps with the numbers in the blue box there. So you're going to need to do some adding with your column method, which I know you can do. And then a bit more of a challenge here. Roma is making these 3 fruity drinks. She only has a 1.5 litre jug. So which drink will fill her jug exactly? So you need to find out, is it the Strawberry Sparkle, the Mango Madness, or the Raspberry Razzle? And then how much over or below the jug's capacity are the other 2 drinks? So whichever 2 don't fit in, how short are they or how much extra? Okay, so we'll look forward to seeing your work on Tapestry. Don't forget to mark your work, guys, because it's really important to check your work before you move on. All the answers are included on Tapestry.